Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is going to have to be a quick video because my battery is almost drained, but in this video I wanted to talk about this plant. This is Calea Zacatechichi, also known as the Mexican dream herb. This is an oneirogen, and oneirogens, for those who don't know, are herbs, supplements, substances, etc. that exert a very powerful effect on your dreams. So this herb has been used for hundreds and hundreds of years to induce vividness in dreams. This plant can produce also a heightened sense of awareness in dreams that can aid the process of becoming lucid in your dreams. And a lucid dream is way different than a vivid dream. A lot of people don't know what a lucid dream actually is. It's when you become conscious to the fact that you're dreaming while in a dream, and now you can control the dream because you've become conscious. This is a very difficult process to obtain. And it's very difficult to get better at lucid dreaming because when you do experience lucidity in dreams, more often than not, you get so excited when you realize you're awake during your dream that the excitation causes your body to wake up. Carlos Castaneda, in his book, The Art of Dreaming, details, it's probably the greatest book on becoming lucid in dreams ever written. But in that book, Don Juan Matus, the Yaqui Indian sorcerer who taught Castaneda throughout the books, teaches you various methods on how to obtain lucidity in dreams, as well as how to retain lucidity. So this is a very potent oneirogen. I've coined this, or it's a word soup. Over the years, through excessive experimentation with this plant, I've coined, or I call the plant nightmare herb, if I can get the damn words out of my mouth. I call it nightmare herb because before this plant reveals knowledge and wisdom to you in dreams, at least in my subjective experience, it causes very intense nightmares. And I've noticed that by looking through the erowid website, many people also experience nightmares as well. But people say, well, why would you take something if it's going to cause a nightmare? I believe, guys, Titan, what are you doing, dude? You keep hitting my plant. I believe these nightmares are necessary. And what I've noticed is that after a period of very intense nightmares, when I first started using this herb, then the nightmares tapered off and it started to reveal a different side of the plant. So I think that these nightmares are deep, unseated, or deep, how would I explain it? Programs that we have that they need to be healed, right? So we have all these repressed emotions and unconscious things going on in our unconscious mind, things that affect our life, in our conscious waking life. And I believe how this herb works is that it pulls all that repressed stuff out so that you can process it in dreams. And then once you process it, you can heal that part of your life that's been repressed, etc. And now you can move on. So I call it nightmare herb, and unfortunately that term kind of gives it there's a stigma behind nightmares. But I believe that it's the wisdom of the plant forcing you to address certain things that you're not addressing. This plant helps take all that crap out of its hiding place and it puts it right in front of you. So these dreams with Calea Zacatechichi can be very, very intense. I still to this day remember the first time that I took Calea Zacatechichi, and I was blown away at how strong it was. I still remember the nightmare to this day. Maybe I'll talk about it in the near future. So this is not a difficult plant to grow. This plant looks a little unhealthy right now, you guys, because the soil that I tried a new soil for this, and the soil just does not drain properly. This soil's been wet for over a week. I watered it about a week ago, and it's still saturated. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some soil that I know drains quickly. I'm going to do a transplant. It's also a little unhappy, you guys, because it needs to be transplanted. It needs a bigger pot. And on top of that, recently I accidentally knocked this plant over and broke a big growth off of it. And I think it's a little unhappy because of that. And I can tell it's a little stressed. So once this thing gets transplanted, and the water actually drains properly, this soil sucks. If I remember the name of this soil, I'll put a picture of it on the screen right now so you never make the same mistake as me. Cheap soils, you guys, they're a gamble. And I was tight for funds, so I got some cheap Walmart soil, and this stuff sucks. It needs Miracle-Gro. Those of you who watch my channel, or those of you who are on my Patreon page, know that I'm not against Miracle Grow for transplants and starting plants off. It ensures that they live through the transplant without stress, and it also ensures you guys that the sprouts or the little seeds, whatever you're growing when in its infancy, the Miracle Grow, at least in my experience, ensures that the plant really gets a strong start. And then later on in the plant's life, I get away from the Miracle Grow and I go for more organic stuff. So, sorry about that, folks. My camera cut off because my storage was full. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Again, my battery's almost dead. I have a few of these plants. I love growing Calea Zacatechichi. I haven't been growing this plant as long as I've been growing other plants, but I'm loving the process of caring for this plant. I believe that this plant has a lot to offer, and just like every other herb out there, you guys, you're gonna get way more out of the herb if you grow it yourself. So I've already taken some of these leaves off because, again, like I said, I accidentally knocked a stalk off, the big old stalk. This plant had a lot more growth on it. So I saved all the stem, the leaves, etc. I dried it and I used it, and holy wow, does this stuff works better. It works way better than the store-bought, I used to buy it on eBay when I first got into Calea Zacatechichi. I would buy dried Calea on eBay. I'd use it and it would always work, but my God, this is like putting a turbocharger or a supercharger on Calea Zacatechichi when you grow it yourself. So when you grow the plant yourself, you can talk to it, you can gauge the quality of water that you give it, you can create relationships with these plants, etc. And when you put your love into these plants, what you get from them when you do ingest them is it's jaw-droppingly beautiful. So you really got to start a garden, guys. I am going to sell cuttings of this probably in the next year or two once the plant gets more established. Again, I have a few of these, but I've got a planter box out front that's going to be dedicated to Calea Zacatechichi. So I'm going to sell my own dried Calea in the future. Again, I call this nightmare herb because it causes nightmares, at least with me and many other people on the Erowid website. It causes really intense nightmares. But as I said earlier, those nightmares, you're working through stuff, and each time you face your fears, you knock off that nonsense, and you get like it's like trimming a tree almost, right? Or getting rid of unnecessary material. Now when I use Calea, I almost never get nightmares. And it really affects dreams, guys. And I've noticed that with Calea, similar to mugwort, which is another oneirogen, when you take this stuff properly, the Calea, because there is a science on how to take this properly so it actually affects your dreams. We'll talk about that in the future. When I take Calea, the saturation in my dreams is turned up 10,000-fold. All of the colors are more bright. It changes the actual landscape. It enhances the colors. And when there's more color, you guys, what happens and why that's beneficial if you're trying to become lucid in dreams is that when you're dreaming and you're in an environment that has the colors enhanced, etc., your conscious mind while dreaming can notice those alterations in the landscape, in the environment. And by doing that, you're able to question, what is this a dream? Am I dreaming? And then that's what leads to lucidity. You have to notice things in the dream landscape and question them. So by turning the colors up, by turning the saturation up, by turning up the intensity of your dreams with an oneirogen such as, but not limited to, Calea Zacatechichi, it can really improve your odds of becoming lucid. And once you become lucid once, you will seek lucidity for the rest of your life. Lucid dreams, to me, they're amazing. There's nothing else more incredible than a lucid dream other than a full-blown Kundalini awakening. When you become aware in your dreams to the point of becoming fully lucid, because there is a spectrum of lucidity, but when you become fully lucid, you are now in a realm, you guys, there's the laws of gravity don't apply. You can do anything and everything you want, including connecting to the plant spirit that helped initiate this lucidity if you use them to become lucid, and you don't have to. But my God, these are power plants. When you achieve lucidity, you guys, you can fly, you can breathe underwater, you can seek the knowledge of ancestors. There's no limits. And when you experience the liberation of not having limits, it'll cause a thirst to develop in you, whereby now you constantly seek lucidity. So guys, I talk about health on this channel. I talk a lot about a lot of stuff, philosophy, etc. But I do not put enough emphasis on oneirogens and lucidity. I have a handful of videos about this subject, but there needs to be more, because this is a very, very amazing. Guys, tapping into the power of your dreams. Read The Art of Dreaming by Carlos Castaneda. Oh, what are you talking about, Serpent? Castaneda's a fraud, bro. Therefore, I'm not going to read the books. I don't give a I've said this in many videos. I don't care if Castaneda was a fraud or not. The knowledge in those books is real, you guys. I know, because I've experienced the gates of dreaming that Don Juan talks about in The Art of Dreaming. I've passed through the gates of dreaming. I've utilized the knowledge contained in those books in my life, and I experience the benefit daily. Therefore, I consider myself a chaite, someone who practices chaos magic. And one of the fundamental pillars of chaos magicians is we utilize what works. We discard what doesn't. In Castaneda's material, it simply works. And it works very well. And once you read the books, you now can seek those experiences that Juan teach it. Or once you read the books, you can apply the knowledge. Let's put it that way. And if you apply the knowledge long enough without giving up, you will get to certain points where your experiences that you have with your sorcery verify they validate the teachings in Castaneda's novels. So one of the greatest books on lucid dreaming ever, and dreaming in general. In my opinion, it's the best. It's the best one I've found so far, is The Art of Dreaming by Carlos Castaneda. So maybe tomorrow I'll do another homestead vlog, and I'll show you guys I'll show you how I transplant these, what I feed my plants after I transplant them, etc. But this is definitely a strong oneirogen, and one that I suggest that people look into if they're interested in learning more about becoming aware and lucid in dreams. Another really good one is mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris. Artemisia Absinthium, if used properly, can cause just as vivid, if not more vivid, dreams than Calea Zacatechichi. But there's a science on how to take wormwood properly. You cannot use dried herbs off of Amazon or online. You have to grow the plant, and you have to let the plant know that I'm growing you to, will you please help me become lucid in dreams? Will you teach me things in my dreams? But it's got to be a reciprocal, if you will, relationship. You don't want to just grow these plants to exploit the magic that they give you. You want to be able to give something back to the plant. So you're not just taking, you're also giving something back. And the process of giving and then receiving creates a very potent friction between you and the plant spirit, that if you continue to develop that relationship, guys, there's no limits on the magic that you can experience with plant allies. Okay? There just isn't. This plant can be dried and smoked. In fact, I find it to be easier to ingest smoked, and it has a much different effect than if I were to make it into a potion. I consume this plant in many different ways. I will continue to, and I just love Calea Zacatechichi. If you go back in my video archives, I've been talking about this plant, guys, since I was probably 19. I became fascinated with oneirogens when I used to lurk around the erowid.com or .org message boards and the archives they have over there. I would read about oneirogens. I've always been interested in dreams and becoming lucid in dreams, etc. So when I found erowid, I would start researching oneirogens, and it was fascinating, and I learned more and more and more. And as I learned, I invested, right? I bought mugwort, I bought Calea Zacatechichi, I bought guayasa, I bought Selene capensis, the African dream root, etc. And it's helped get me to where I am today. I am just as interested today in these oneirogens as I was when I first learned about them. And I tell you what, when you read about what these plants can do, it's one thing. When you apply, when you actually go out, or how would I say this? When you actually utilize them properly and you experience those things that people are saying these plants can do, it is so liberating. These are allies, you guys. You need to find a plant ally. And I'm going to talk more about how to do that in the near future. But Calea Zacatechichi is one of my favorite oneirogenic herbs. I think that it is well worth investing in. And I'm not saying that the stuff off of eBay won't give you lucid dreams or vivid dreams. because it can, but when you grow this stuff yourself, it's much more powerful, you guys. It's not even comparable. It's like comparing a Ford Pinto to a Ferrari Enzo. So in the future, I'll show you guys more videos where I talk about this. I'll teach you how to grow it. I'll talk about the active constituents in Calea Zacatechichi that actually affect the brain and induce vividness in dreams, etc. But how these work, to summarize this, because my camera's probably going to turn off here. These oneirogens, most of them, work by enhancing or turning up the colors in your dreams. They make certain things more noticeable in the dreams, and that can cause your conscious mind to go, wait, am I dreaming? Because that's how a lucid dream happens, you guys. You notice something in your environment and you question it and you go, wait, this is a dream. That leads to lucidity. And I'm going to wrap this one up. We're going to talk a hell of a lot more about dreams. The Toltecs were privy to the power of dreams. The shamans around the world are. You see, the key is to become lucid in dreams. You spend 1/3 of your life sleeping, and that 1/3 of your life spent sleeping, you're unconscious for most of it. We're being attacked in our dreams. We're being possessed in our dreams. We're being led astray in our dreams. It's like a hedge maze where it's supposed to be a place of liberation. May peace be with you all.